Hello, I'm Philly Hare, one of the co-directors of Innovations in Dementia. I'm going to talk to you today about our Dementia Enquirers programme, which is funded by the Big Lottery Community Fund. Our presentation focuses on some of the barriers which people with dementia face when they want to be in what we call the driving seat of research. You will meet Agnes, Mhari, Wendy, Dory, Howard and George, all of whom are part of the Pioneers group, which is leading and shaping Dementia Enquirers. The programme will fund up to 20 small research projects, all led by groups of people with dementia in the DEEP network. The topics and methods will be decided by them. The COVID situation has naturally meant that many of the small research projects we've been funding have stalled, or are at least on a go slow. But one positive in this situation is that we've had time to take stock of some of the wider issues that the programme has been unearthing. Issues such as the nuts and bolts of successful co-production, the complexity of research language and methods, and the ethics research processes. Through previous work, we had already learned a lot about how to really engage and excite people with dementia in co-production. Our Right to a Grand Day Out was a project involving 3 Yorkshire DEEP groups in looking at accessibility in transport. It resulted not only in a great resource, but in actual policy change, such as the Blue Badge criteria. Research can often seem very big and very scary, particularly to non-academics. This is partly because of the inaccessibility of the language and because of the mystique associated with various research methods. So, working with the pioneers, we've produced an accessible guide which aims to simplify both the language and the main approaches. One of the other major barriers for non-academics who want to carry out their own research is the research ethics processes. The systems are simply confusing and off-putting, and it's tempting to just give up. But we weren't going to do that. So we worked hard to produce our own gold standards based on 6 simple principles. In one of his dementia diaries, George Rook talks about the process we went through.
We had several professional research staff with us. They provided some much needed grounding in the law and protocols involved in ethical approval for research, or this is new for them and us when it comes to our own Enquirers research. We'd have to think about things like, will we harm or adversely affect those who participate in our research? How will we ask our questions or carry out our investigations and avoid bias in the way we do this? If we do upset a participant, can we provide the support they need? Is what we are investigating worth doing, or is it wasting people's time? Will we need full ethical approval, possibly required by law? Who will the participants be and how will we recruit them? And these things can seem simple, but they certainly are not. So we decided that we should establish a deep ethics panel of people living with dementia, with support and guidance from a few chosen professionals who share our values and aims. We want to show that we can handle the ethical issues and approvals of the sort of research that Dementia Enquirers will carry out. And we want to be able to provide guidance for research professionals about including people living with dementia in their research, both as participants and as researchers. Ultimately, we want to put people living with dementia into the driving seat in research, choosing what matters to us to research, and designing and carrying out that research. We want to, I think in the words of other people at the moment, we want to take back control of our research and of our lives. And we need to get it done.
During the programme, we regularly discuss how the people involved are feeling about it, whether they feel that they really are in the driving seat. Here are some snippets of some of our discussions.
Deciding what the subject will be, how we will do it, and where we need the bits of help that we inevitably will need, then we can ask others to come and help us to enable us to do that.
I'm grateful to be in the driving seat so that it's my decisions to drive it forward, you know, and to find out that, seeing it from the other side, that it's not easy being a researcher. You made it look so easy when you came, he asked all the questions, but behind the scenes there were a lot that you had to do, which is what I like about this. So it's good. It's, for me, I think it's going to be a big education, a big learning curve, but in a positive way. The dementia research pack, that's going to be very, very helpful, putting it all in and being able to discuss it. And I like what Wendy said, it's not just about us being in the driver's seat, but like everything else, that's a roadmap to guide us along the way, but we also have people that we can ask. I think it's great to see that we're all round the table together, talking the same language, dropping the jargon and just talking and getting to the heart of it, and aiming high.
When I had my, what do you call it? Oh God, what do you call it? Thank you, thank you. I wrote on a big enormous piece of paper, and it said, "I will not lead a narrowed life." Chuffed to bits that I can be part of it all, and really exciting that we've got these opportunities. And just enjoying the fact that I'm actually involved in this in any capacity.
One of the other great things about this programme is that people with dementia have forged very positive and helpful relationships with key thinkers in this field. Here are a few snippets from a conversation between Professor Michael Dunn from Oxford University and two of the pioneers, George and Mhari. The conversation focused on some of the myths about research ethics.
We've got a list of myths that we would like your advice on, Michael. And the first one is, all people with dementia lack capacity and require special research processes. What do you think?
So I think that's certainly a myth. It's quite obvious, I think, that there's a scope of abilities that people with dementia have. It will be dependent on the complexity of the information and how familiar the person is with the decision that they have to make. And of course, capacity might fluctuate as well at different points in the day, or for different people in different ways, and using various techniques to simplify the information or to take some time to enable the person to understand the information relevant to consent in research. All of those considerations can help, I guess, debunk the idea that a person with dementia, because they've got dementia, won't have the capacity to make their own decisions. But I would want to debunk the idea that we should just invoke those special procedures simply because the person has dementia. That would be a mistake, I think.
Yeah, I'm conscious that some of the researchers don't demonstrate the level of skill or knowledge about dementia, let alone about assessing capacity.
Research is a kind of skill like anything else you might do, I think, with your life. So the idea that it belongs to an elitist group of people, you know, in an ivory tower, it just seems to me to be obviously wrong. Lots of research is done, you know, by people all the time.
And a lot of this comes back to this myth that people with dementia cannot do anything, cannot think, cannot communicate, cannot remember, full stop. So
yeah, that's right. I also think there's a tendency, it has been for a long time in research, to see research participants or subjects as subjects rather than partners in the activity as well.
Just being here as being part of just having these conversations around this, it's a winner for so many people.
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, in some senses, thinking about the first step is to debunk the myths or to challenge the mistakes sometimes are made. But then there's a really important question about how we build momentum.
Or do we give enough people opportunities? And do we just stick to one? You know, it would be great if everybody could have all of these things and everybody has could join the party.
I think the key thing moving forward is how to scaffold change around this and how to instigate change.
And also, picking up on something said earlier, to demonstrate to ethics committees that they may be being too precious about what they perceive as our needs, whether something will do us any potential harm, asking us certain questions. We may well say, well, actually, that's fine for most of us. We can always say no.
And thank you all for putting together such a helpful project and a project that I think is, you know, genuinely likely to instigate some change in an area which needs to be changed. So thank you all.
Well, it's been really interesting. I've loved that.
I've done a number of research in different places when people have asked me to do things. And it's usually at one point there's somebody sort of saying, well, actually, this isn't as scary as we thought it was, or but it opens it up for other people. The people that we're talking with, or the people we don't yet know, or people don't know about who's doing what. But it's expanding all the time. So I think for researchers and for people who perhaps we aren't as fortunate as we have been with DEEP, hopefully things will broaden out for everybody.
Who would have thought people with dementia would ever be in this position? And I'm so happy to be one of those people taking part in this groundbreaking initiative and creating new perceptions through research. Yes, of course we need help. We need to be shown what we're capable of, to be able to realise our potential despite dementia. The fact that about 20 DEEP groups will be able to apply for grants to carry out their own projects is truly wonderful and allows so many to be involved. Some projects may be small and local, others may be bigger, it doesn't matter. All will be just as valuable, just as important. It makes it more important not to overload people with dementia by breaking it down into small, manageable chunks. And yes, it is scary. After all, will some people be waiting for us to fail? Waiting for us to trip up on our own enthusiasm? But there will also be many who will be cheering us on, waving our flag and willing us to succeed. But how exciting to be inviting researchers and other professionals to walk through our door instead of walking through theirs. It will be our voices asking the questions, our voices setting the agenda, and our voices setting the priorities. After all, why not?
I'm very proud of how far we've come in such a short time, and I'm looking forward to the future, but I'm also very grateful we have our allies to assist us so that we stay on track and know that together we are stronger, working together, sharing knowledge.
I think the future looks brighter and that change will come.
I'm very tired and lots of information, but it's better to be tired and involved than sitting home being tired because you're doing nothing. And it's worth being tired to help to change things for myself, for my future, and for other people's living with dementia's future. So thank you, Dementia Enquirers, for helping make the change.
Dementia Enquirers is a fantastic developing project which will have far-reaching effects in terms of research and empowerment in the future.